Alright, so I was talking about rebuilding the Demon Carb. Um, it was way too hot and on Monday. It's Wednesday, and I think today I'm going to do it in my basement. As you can see, I'm slowly getting rid of piles of shit from when I built this bathroom, which still doesn't have a door. So if you come to my house and I'm shitting, don't come downstairs because there's no door, unless you want to like join me or something, which is weird. But either way, I'm going to take this thing apart. I got my little dunk tank. I'm actually going to use it for this one. A really old calendar from '09. I think every guy who works on cars hangs on to those. You never get rid of them, no matter what year it is. I got my rebuild kit. I bought a 20-quart drain pan to rinse parts off in. And hopefully it doesn't stink up the basement too bad. I did rebuild a carb down here once before in the winter, and it wasn't too bad. So hopefully fumes are kept to a minimum. It is summer, so I don't have central air, so nothing's going to be really getting sucked up. And I do have a window here. I'm going to put a fan in and just pull shit out if it does stink. So I am being cautious here. And I got a little bit of brake cleaner, carbon choke cleaner to blast through, acting like compressed air, which in some of the other videos you've seen me use that in lieu of that. So, and I got what should be most of the tools we need here. My bit driver. This is my home kit. This is my old standard that I had at the shop. I bought a new one. This one came home. So I'm going to take it apart, dunk it in, let it sit, go grab some food, come back and hit it. We'll show you guys what we find. Alright, so before I go any further, I got my basic disassembly done, which is the big main components, none of the small ones yet. So I got the throttle, the base plate off. There's not much to this, but there is circuitry through it, so this is going to get dunked, cleaned, blasted with brake clean. Put that out to the side. The main body is pretty gunky. The nozzles will come out. Unless you have a special tool, I don't think these are easily removable. But we're going to remove everything that can come off like this, and then we're going to blast. After I dunk it, we're going to blast brake cleaner through all the little passages, carb cleaner, all that stuff. And we got to finish removing the gasket material. I got to go grab a razor blade. And then the bowls, you got to take apart the accelerator pump, needle and seat, the float, remove that. Remove this. I believe this brass insert is removable. Clean that up, put that back in, take that off so it doesn't haze up in the dunk tank there. And this is already loose, so this is for your AN fitting. Some people run a filter in there. You really shouldn't. So that's that. I was sitting. And then on this one, the secondary metering block did not have a power valve. So that way I know that it's for the secondary side to keep things consistent. And if the jet extensions were not a dead giveaway, then you know, the other things will be. And you do have to be careful when you take these apart because these pins sometimes get bent. You can hear my dog. She's rolling around on her back, scratching her back upstairs. And then on these, we're also going to remove the jet extensions, vent whistle, and the idle air mixture screws. So the fuel mixture screws. Clean all that up. And the primary side has a block off on the power valve. So, you know, I still got to remove the gaskets on this, but same thing. Remove the jets, remove the block for the power valve. There is circuits that run through that should be cleared out, even though it's not in use. And then remove the needles for the fuel mixture screws. There's little O-rings in there. Sometimes they're cork, sometimes they're rubber, whatever you get. The whole idea there is for that to seal up and not let fuel seep out of that circuit. But the needle restricts what flows through there, so replace that. Sometimes people will clean the carburetors and they won't do that. They will leak from there. And of course, this is the primary side. Fuel bowl, again, same thing. Remove the needle and seat assembly, remove the float, the fittings, the glass sight. If it's removable, I'm not 100% on this one. If not, then I'm just going to have to clean it up as best I can. Hopefully it doesn't haze in the formula, which I don't think it will. And then remove the accelerator pump, clean all the circuits, and we'll be good. So I'm going to finish taking the last bits apart, get in the dunk tank, and then I'm going to grab dinner and probably put this together later tonight. So it's kind of weird working sitting down on this old like 1920s freaking post office desk, which is amazingly like in good shape. I got model car parts in there. So yeah, I'm going to do that. I'm going to dunk it, get it cleaned up, clean it off, and as I put it together, I'll show you guys what I'll be doing. Alright, so I cleaned everything up. I got everything organized. It cleaned up pretty good. The main body was really gunky. Cleaned up really nice. I went out in the garage and I blew it out with compressed air, made sure every passage was blowing air, even after I cleaned it and blasted it with brake cleaner. Main bodies are nice and clean. The fuel bowls are nice and clean. They cleaned up really nice. I mean, not perfect, but you know what? Some of this tar varnish buildup on here was really, really hard. But you know what? I'm not worried about it. Once it's all together, I'll give it a nice little scuff. It'll clean up real good. The main objective here was to clean the internals and clean it as much as possible. The main body turned out really, really nice. That got a full dunk, which is the main brain of the carburetor, along with the metering blocks. Those also got dunked, cleaned out, blown out. And here you can see, let me see if I can turn on my flash. Alright, so here you can see I got all my components laid out. They were all in this one cup. I dumped them out here and separated them. So we got the long ones are the bowl screws. These guys are the float screws. Those are the accelerator pump screws. Those are the jets. Your idle fuel adjustment screws. There's one needle in seat, and I'll show you guys why. I got my accelerator pumps springs. I even held on to the old accelerator pumps and plugs, and the block off. And those are the two screws for the nozzles, which I have to go back out there and just clean the nozzles real fast. I forgot to do that. And then the sight plugs, I'm going to clean with a little bit of glass cleaner because we removed them. Now, let me sit down for this. This needle in seat, that's bad. That's what was in there. I pulled it out just like that. So JJ, if you're watching, that was in there. Needle in seat still moves, but there's crud in there. That's never good because it'll get stuck. It'll dump out fuel. It won't idle right. And I think that's a problem. But the rebuild kit's got all this new, so I don't care. I'm planning on replacing all the parts. I got the rebuild kit, and pretty much this is very similar to a Holly. Not much difference at all. There's a couple differences in the metering block, but nothing major. It's pretty standard Ford like assembly procedures and stuff. The other thing that I was going to point out, so on the rear bowl, these have been replaced, and somebody put jet extensions in there, probably JJ. There wasn't any spring in here. Really, the spring is kind of, let me show you. So the spring almost does nothing. It just keeps a little bit of tension. I mean, this float does drop at its own weight, and it's designed to get moved up when it fills up. So really, I don't see that being a problem, but I noticed that. And the other odd part is there's 3 jets that are 93, and there's one that's a 99. That didn't make sense. I have to ask him if maybe accidentally somebody put in a 99 jet instead of a 93 on the secondaries. But again, I got this carburetor. He told me he bought it back in 2000, and so it's a 20-year-old carburetor, but it's still in fairly good shape. There was a lot of like varnishy, old fuels, amazingly, in the carburetor. So this thing had actually race fuel in it. Race fuel doesn't do what our crappy ethanol blend fuel in it. So this saw race fuel at some point, and it was still very greasy and oily in there from everything breaking down and turning into like a varnish. But we cleaned it all up. I'm gonna rebuild it, and I'm gonna go from there. Once I get it all together, I'll show you guys some points of interest as I assemble it, maybe. But really, this is a pretty straightforward rebuild, and as soon as this is done, hopefully I get some time, I'll pop it on the Cutlass and we'll try it. For now, I'm going to clean up and go get a snack, like ice cream, because it's hot out and I actually want some ice cream. Kind of sounds bad. But either way, when I get back, I'm going to put this all back together, set it all up, and we'll go from there. Alright, so the last video, the carb rebuild, I already had this together. I gave the main body and the fuel bowls an extra cleaning with a Scotch-Brite pad, much like the video I made cleaning my centerline wheels, except I didn't use any TSP. Just a light scuff, brought the aluminum back to life. And just a quick little thing. The main body is really easy to assemble. There's not a lot to it. Most of your assembly is going to be in the metering blocks. You got your jets, your needles, as I mentioned already. You got to worry about bench setting your float and further refining that adjustment later on after the car is running, as it should be. But I pretty much gauged it with round stock, and then prior to disassembly, and then I put it back together and got it close, and so I know that it won't completely overflow. And our girl is here saying hi. So, but a quick little thing on these Demons, they use O-rings to seal the passage. On some Hollies, they use cork or a square cut seal. They use just O-rings. Now, if you look in there, it's hard to get. I want to show you guys exactly what's going on here. So, if you look in there, you see the needle goes into the passage. Well, as it opens up, it lets in fuel, right? That needle is the obstruction. As you bring it out, it lets more fuel in. And on this, I turned it all the way in until it bottomed out so I can make sure that the seal is going to be seated properly, and it should not. The seal should not come out as the screw comes out. The seal should be almost like press fit into the metering block. That way fuel does not come out past the needle. And but another thing too is that it's really neat with the Demon is they got this really like neat kind of main body that's like shelved, right? It's kind of got like, this is pretty much like a Holly, just slightly different. Not by much, but it is. So this is what I found really, really neat about this carburetor. So usually when you assemble the carburetors, they can be a pain in the ass to put the metering blocks on. But if you tighten these, I'm doing this with one hand holding the camera, but if you tighten it, and guess what? The metering block is kind of held into place by the idle mixture screws. That's pretty neat. So it makes it kind of easy for assembly. You just tighten the screws into the body on the side, and it holds it in place until you get your screws started. You back it out and you tighten it all up. So that was pretty neat. And of course, again, I cleaned up the main body and everything even further from what you guys saw in that other little clip. But it's Sunday. I didn't get to do nearly as much as what I wanted to do. We had a couple of engagements, things to do. And I still have to put the fan assembly on the Bonneville. That's going to happen this week. Has to happen this week. No ands, ifs, or buts. Last week was hot. I didn't want to be out here. This week should be a little bit nicer, more bearable to come out here and work. I did take the olds out this morning and just drove it because I wanted to log my AFR readings with this carb and use them for reference. So I paid attention and I kind of jotted down little notes as I came to stoplights where my AFR was at certain points. It's a tad on the fat side. When the car's still cold, it'll run at like 10.5, you know, but once it warms up, it'll be 11.5, 12.0, which is slightly on the fat side, but it doesn't follow the plugs. So this carburetor could use some more fine tuning, but I'm just want to try out the 850, see if I notice anything, you know, and if it runs good, then I'll just run that. Because I sometimes feel like at the big end of the track, the 750, the engine kind of labors on the upper end. Once you're in, you know, 1-to-1 gear, like the engine kind of labors just a little bit, like it's just not enough. But I still have basic settings to do, like the pump cam override and the idle mixture screws I still have to set up. But those will get set up before I put it on. Those are quick. But there you guys have it. This carburetor cleaned up really nice. I really hope it works. Hopefully we can squeeze. All I want is 0.06 before I put the torque converter in. So not necessarily as busy as we normally would be in the summer. Busy helping a friend of mine with his projects. We're nearing the end of that. And then hopefully once I'm done with that, I can get back on my stuff. And really, both of these cars really don't need a lot. So hopefully I can get some more dedicated time to put this small block Ford together. So on that note, I will let you guys know we got new subscribers. Thanks guys for following. Share, like, subscribe. If you guys want to follow on Facebook, you guys have to find the Copper's Garage page. It's not Copper Cutlass. And if you follow me on Instagram, it's Copper Cutlass. I know it's confusing. It's weird. But either way, this is pretty much done. Just got to put this back together. I had to disassemble it just to show you guys. You guys are special. So I'll let you guys go. Stay cool. Drink water and or beer. But water. Mainly water. See ya.